slide.
Yes. You can just put it back and then explain it a bit to members.
Okay.
Oh my God. Gitam, are you eating? Please, your video is going to be off.
Hello, my video.
Yeah, it's on. So if you are doing something weird, we will record you and put you somewhere.
No, I'm not doing anything weird, but I'm going to switch it off soon.
Yeah, thank you. Engineer Ohaga, you can continue. Your mic, check your mic, please. It's going on and off, on and off, on and off. Members, can you hear Engineer Ohaga?
No.
No.
No, we can't hear him.
We can't hear him.
Can he hear us? I think he has a. I think he's. Can you hear us, engineer?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, now you can continue. I hope your headphones, your headset is not still on Bluetooth and connected to the laptop. It might be interfering.
Yeah, switch it off.
All right.
Okay, now I'm on the last page, and I was saying the marking scheme is very easy for us to pass and become PEs. And the pass mark is just 50%. Training and experience will give you 10 marks. Project report will give you 30 marks. And then the oral interview will give you 50 marks. The essay is 10 marks. So you can see when you do your training and experience report and the project report using the format that you have given, you will already have 40 marks. And therefore, you'll only be looking for 10 marks, either from oral interview or the essay to be able to pass this professional interview. And therefore, I think with this format that you have, it should be very easy for us as graduate engineers to be able to move to the next level.
Yes, engineer.
Yes, I was almost concluding because that is going to be our last slide.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that you can see it is very easy to become a professional engineer. I think once we have those formats followed and one attends this interview, and the interview is just discussion, it has the majority of the points, but it is very easy to pass because the pass rate actually for the last 2 years has been over 70%. And we want to encourage our members who are present here today to take the challenge, submit their papers, and come for the interview so that we can change the scenario as it is. We require 19,000 engineers today. And the members who are here are going to be part and parcel of these statistics so that we can move this country forward. Thank you so much, Engineer Ndolo.
Right. Thank you, Engineer Ohaga, for this wonderful session that we've started, although we had some hiccups. But I would like to remind members that because for now we are using the free version, so kindly let's limit our questions to writing them either privately to me or to Diana so that we can move faster in asking the questions. We will be able to summarize the questions and ask on your behalf. Now, Engineer, there is a question here. Somebody is asking that you've written in your, maybe you can put the slide back on the training report on the project where you had listed 24 months. You can put the slide back to that part. Engineer, there is a question here that when you talk of the 24 months, does one have to divide them in months, 6 months, like say design 6 months, O&M 6 months, contract management 6 months? That's the question from one member. Engineer?
Engineer Doro, your video is on. Eh?
Yes, my video is on because I'm asking questions. Maybe you can chip in, Engineer.
Great.
Engineer Kahoro Wachira, maybe you can chip in, can turn on your video and chip in the question that we are asking Engineer Ohaga. I think he can't hear us.
Just repeat the question again, please.
On the project report, somebody is asking
Yes.
whether we can divide them into 6 months per session, like design 6 months, O&M 6 months, contract management 6 months.
I think it depends on the nature of the work. Eh? In my view, they do not have to be strictly 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it is important for somebody to have had experience in each of the areas that have been described in Engineer Ohaga's presentation.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's a question here. What happens if drawings are not signed by PEs and there is no PE or CE in the whole approval process? Design approvals are done over mail. Can the design approval be done over mail or just not physically?
It has to be done on the physical document. What you do is ask your professional engineer to sign on the documentation. And the idea is, especially in the second page, that indicates a commitment that the professional engineer has agreed that he is familiar with the project is real, it's live, and that he has had a chance to look at the documentation. The signature or the initial is a witness that he is agreeable with all the work that has been done there, and it is indeed the work of this particular graduate engineer who requires to register.
Yeah, in short, members should know that the signature is what we call wet. It has to be wet signature, not just a printout signature. Wet means you have to sign it with your pen.
Exactly.
Physically.
Exactly.
Yeah, and somebody is asking if you can fund webinar. No, I will pay for it. Don't worry. Question: Is it mandatory that you have a T&E report that your supervisor or manager be a PE? Like, must on the T&E report, must the manager be a PE?
Yes. However, you may find opportunities where some of the individuals who are signing for you, for example, you go for your apprenticeship training, you find one of the persons who is supervising you is a finance individual.
Mm-hmm.
Indicate his or her name for that particular portion, because what we are trying to see is, are you able to maybe understand aspects of finance? Have you gone through this requisite training?
Mm-hmm.
What other training have you done in project management? Chances are your project manager may not necessarily be an engineer, but we need to know that you have gained some experience in that particular area, and that is important.
Yeah, that is
Also,
well. Yes.
can I also add something, Engineer?
Yes, Engineer.
We know in many establishments, graduate engineers are not being trained by professional engineers per se. So in the training and experience report, it is not mandatory that whoever is training you must be a professional engineer, because that is what is on the ground. But
Yes.
for this, but for the project report, the project report that you're submitting for registration, that supervisor then must be a professional engineer. But for the training and experience report, you can be trained by another graduate engineer, but not registered per se.
All right. Another question here on the cost benefit analysis. You said it is optional. If one doesn't do it, does it not put the interviewee at a lesser privileged position?
Not necessarily, because it is not. It's not. We don't mark it that a candidate has given cost benefit analysis and give a mark to it. But it is good that for some projects which you can be able to quantify, that you're able to calculate the return on investment, you're able to calculate the payback periods and the net present value. And then we are able to see that this particular project was physically feasible, but it doesn't put somebody who has not been able to demonstrate that cost benefit analysis as a disadvantage when it comes to evaluation of the report.
Okay. Can one submit a training report first, then project report later?
No, those projects, the training and experience report and the project report go hand in hand. So there's no way you can submit the training and experience report and wait for some time and submit the project report. They are evaluated concurrently. They must be submitted at the same time.
So can someone, like, say I apply today and I still don't have the report ready? What is that a scenario that is possible? How long does it take for application? Like I do the application, pay for it to submit the preliminary document, then how long does it take for one to be called to submit the reports?
Normally what happens, if you go through IEK, you submit, you see it is transfer of class from graduate engineer to corporate, no, from graduate member to corporate member.
Yes.
And now, if that one comes every month, and the membership committee sits every month, so they look at the application that have been presented on that particular month. That means if the papers are received on the 1st of the month, by the end of that month, they will have been evaluated by the council and then communication made to that particular candidate. So if the communication is to the effect that you are being asked to submit your training and experience report and the project report, then you can see within 2 months of your application, you should be able to submit your project report and it will have been evaluated after the 2nd month. Now, the 2nd month, assuming that now you have been asked to submit the training and experience report and the project report, and it has been received by the secretariat. For the electrical and electronics engineers and telecom engineers, once we have more than 3 applications received by the secretariat, we normally call the panelists who evaluate those particular applications in terms of the project report. And then in 7 days, the candidates are notified of an interview. So once the interview has been done within 7 days, the results are then submitted to the membership committee. The membership committee ratifies the results of those interviews. And then the membership committee submits those results to the council. So you can see within a period of 2 months, one should be able to know the results of his application.
Okay. Somebody is asking a question here. Are these the same marks? I think on the marks that you'd given in the last slide where you showed the pass mark was 50%, somebody is asking, are these the same marks that are used if you go through the EBK process?
Correct. Everything is the same. The format for IEK is the same as the format for EBK. The only thing that will change is that if you go through EBK, you remove that title page and now change it to EBK. EBK, it is not transfer of class, but it's registration to professional engineer. So that is all that changes in that particular format. Everything else remains the same. The marking is the same. And that's why we try as much as possible to be seamless when it comes to registration.
Okay, and I have a question that it was asked during the previous session with the engineer John Mativo, Daktari, and the question was, must one be a member, if I decide to go through EBK, must one be a member of IEK? You are still a graduate engineer, but you just go through EBK for your professional registration. Must one be a graduate engineer at IEK?
To become what? Can you repeat, please?
For if a graduate engineer chooses the option of going through Engineers Board of Kenya for the professional license,
Yes.
is he or she required to have IEK membership, graduate level?
To become a graduate member of EBK.
Of IEK. Did you get the question? The question is this.
No, I didn't.
There's two ways of, right now, as the law gives us, we have two options. You either go through IEK to get your corporate membership and then submit the report for licensing at EBK, or one can decide to go directly. He is a graduate engineer at EBK. He or she can just apply directly to Engineers Board of Kenya. In this case, a person chooses the EBK way, and he is already a graduate engineer at EBK, is he also required, he or she required to have IEK membership?
Now, according to the Act,
yes,
for you to become a professional engineer, you are required to become a corporate member of IEK. So assuming that you have gone through EBK, you are a graduate member, then you applied, you became a professional engineer. Before you are issued with the practicing license and the certificate, you are asked to go to IEK and become a corporate member. Now, if you are not a graduate member of IEK and you want a corporate member, you will start by becoming a graduate member of IEK. And that one is just within 1 month, because the file has to be opened for you.
yes.
And that number of graduate member is what will translate into a corporate member number. So you start by making application, become a member, and then within 1 month, you will just be given that corporate membership, so that then you can take it back to EBK for license issuance.
All right. There's another question here. Somebody is asking, my question is as follows: is it necessary is it necessary to include commissioning reports if one did not participate in the construction, on the construction part? It is the same question like somebody is asking whether feasible reports can be submitted, feasibility report rather.
Yes, feasibility reports are accepted, and provided those feasibilities report can be used by somebody else to implement a project. Because feasibility report is actually showing that this project should be feasible if you implement this particular project. But your work will end at the report generation of feasibility report. So if it can be demonstrated, maybe in future, that this report can be implemented, because you are able to show in that report the benefits and the criteria that was used, you can use that particular report for registration. Even in research, where academia comes on board, a research work that can be implemented by somebody else can be used for registration.
But in that, on the research part, is it really feasible right now? Have we had somebody who has registered through that kind of a document?
We have been waiting for this kind of applications. I can tell you, for the time I've been there, I've not seen any research project submitted by anybody from academia or something like that.
All right. And then there's a question of somebody who is an electronics engineer and happened to have graduated outside, like me, and applied for their application for their graduate engineer post at EBK in 2012, and they only received it in 2018. Some received in 2019, 2017. It takes a long process for EBK to verify graduation documents from outside. In this case, is it possible for somebody to apply directly? Because this person graduated in 2012, he or she could have already been involved in works that he or she has already gained experience in the respective areas. What is the scenario in this case? What can be done for this person? Because Engineers Board of Kenya, Engineers Board of Engineers, just a minute, Engineers Board of Kenya says that for you to apply for license, you must have at least 3 years postgraduate engineer registration. So postgraduate engineer registration, somebody received a certificate, say in February 2019. That means he has not even finished 1 year, or just finishing 1 year.
Yes.
Mm.
That is it's a very unfortunate event that happens. Actually, you know, it is the EBK that does the verification of certificates and courses that have been offered in other countries. And after that verification, and they are able to register members with foreign degrees. But you see, many a times it takes a long time for them to make that verification and then eventually register you so that then you can come to IK for eventual processing. But if you look at our strategic plan, we have a component of the foreign students. So I think it will be better for the students who are coming back to the country with the foreign degrees to always make contact with IK, so that IK is able to push for the welfare of these students from foreign countries, so that the process can be hastened by EBK, so that we don't waste like 2-3 years before that is done by EBK. Mm-hmm. So we would really encourage the foreign candidates to have some contacts with IK and alert IK that we have already submitted these documents to EBK. Please follow up for us so that that verification can be done in good time.
Mm-hmm. And then, but then the question again from another graduate from outside asking, why is it then that the website at in IEK is not that, I think he's talking of the new website. Why is it not having more information on membership when, and also your social media, Twitter, Facebook seem to be silent most of the time, even when we have major events in the country concerning engineers?
Thank you so much, Ndolo. We have realized that the website is still under development. The service provider has not commissioned that particular website. And I think as we get into the active activities, we'll be able to develop it further so that it can be conducive for our members to use it. Yeah. It is not complete, as we still work in progress, and we hope that will improve in the near future.
Yeah, because
in terms of activity of the social media, that also has been a problem. But I think last week the CEO engaged some experts, marketing expert, and we will be starting to see some serious activity in terms of social media engagements.
Yeah, on the website, you know, I'm an electronics engineer guy, and when I checked the IEK website, it was placing me to have graduated from Nairobi University Agricultural Engineering the first time. The second time I entered again, it put me in civil engineering. So there's something amiss somewhere.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so
we'll take it up.
Please take it up with the guys. There's a question. Implementation phase of projects in government are not easily forthcoming. Can you submit a project report without photos of implementation phase, since the timeline is limited to 5 years?
Thank you so much. We did state very clearly that you can submit your project report up to design level. Mm-hmm. If you are not able to implement that particular design, you leave it to somebody else to go and implement it. Yours will end at design. Mm-hmm. So yours will just give us the design components, the design criteria, and you end there and you use it for your registration. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think this question, I don't know whether maybe you can answer it. If one goes through EBK graduate engineer internship program of signing logbook for 2 years, is it necessary to do a TE and project report again? I think it's necessary.
Still necessary, because it will be now easier, because you'll just be transferring the information or the logbook to now this format. You know, the
Right.
problem with people is that people don't keep records. But in this case, now you have the logbook. It becomes easier for you to transfer that information from the logbook to the format. That one can take a day and you become registered.
Does EBK have a sample of the logbook for maybe members who do not know how to prepare one?
I need to check.
Or it can just be a normal diary book?
No, I think there should be a format, a standardized format for the logbook. I can check that one with the EBK because they already have their first batch of this trainee under this program. They should have that logbook so that it can be shared.
Right. Can projects done outside Kenya be used for PE registration?
Yes. We've had some kind of design paper projects that have been done in Rwanda, been done in Mauritius. It is possible provided your supervisor actually participate in these particular projects and he understands these projects. There are some people who claim that they are doing projects in other countries. The supervisor has no idea where this project is, and then you submit it for registration. So that is acceptable, provided the supervisor is also in sync with that project. He has visited site, he understands what is going on there. It is still all engineering work, even in Rwanda, in Uganda, Tanzania. So it's acceptable to have foreign projects done in other countries.
All right, our time has run out. We should be having in Wachira, but he can bear with us a bit so that we answer this question. We have a few questions, then we finish. For the thesis, it has been answered. How does IEK, EBK treat IT computer-based projects during registration? I think Engineer Masila can answer that on our behalf because he's a bit so much in telecommunication side in Safaricom.
Is he around?
I doubt, but maybe during his session we can ask him.
Yes. Because basically, once EBK accepts a program, IK automatically does it. So when it moves from EBK to IK, it is automatic. So that is the only place that we need to check whether it's acceptable there.
All right.
Yes.
I work in many projects in which there is minimal or no input by a PE or a consultant engineer. Must a project be in a direct charge or supervision of a PE or a consultant for it to qualify for registration?
The project that you want to use for registration should be supervised by either professional engineer or consulting engineer. That specific project that you want to submit for registration.
So, but it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter where your registration is. It can be, the supervisor can be an engineer registered Finland, Russia, or even in South Africa, so long as it's a professional registered engineer.
Yes, and provided now we have a mutual agreement with those countries where we accept those professional engineers, that will be acceptable.
What do you mean by mutual agreement? I thought so long as we are under Commonwealth, the registration within Commonwealth are bounding still. Or must there be a specific MOU?
Yes, there are specific mutual recognition agreements. Like now we have for East Africa, we have for Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, where you can practice anywhere, and any engineer from those 5 countries, including Southern Sudan, just to mention. Now you can practice in these countries, and any engineer in whichever of these 5 countries can then act on any project, and they are acceptable by all these 5 countries.
All right, engineer, thank you very much. I think let's start Engineer Kahoro Wachira's session in this meeting. I will just end this meeting and then we start another one immediately so that I can save them separately for each session.
Excuse me, Chair, host.
Yes.
This is Engineer Kahoro. There's Engineer Wekesa who had another engagement. He wanted to do his presentation now. As you open the next session.
Yes.
And then I will do mine after his.
No problem, engineer. Then we can start with Engineer Wanjala. And
Yes.
immediately after this session, I will just save this session in a different, so that we can have them separated for each and every presenter. Otherwise,
That is okay.
Engineer, thank you. Engineer Wanjala, please join in a bit. And everybody else, I kindly request you to join back.
Thank you. Thank you.